Hello, welcome back to 10 at 10. My name is Michael Ramage. I'm the director of the Cyber Education Research Center here at Murray State University. And welcome back to 10 at 10. 10 at 10 is brought to you through a partnership between Murray State University, Sprocket, West Kentucky, and KY Innovation. Welcome back to episode 289. A couple weeks ago, we started a two-part discussion about how to help your organization prepare to use AI. AI is a broad topic. AI involves a lot of things. And what I often hear organizations, even this week, spoke with a few organizations, and what I hear is overwhelm, worry. There's a lot of those elements, or really excited even, but there's a lot of those elements of how do we get going in a way that is responsible, that is secure, that is ethical, all of those things that we want to do. How do we get going? And started last time talking a little bit about here's some things that we can do. We talked through the first 5 steps, developing an AI use policy. If people don't know or understand what we can do, then they're not going to know what we can't do. In addition to the policy setting the direction, we should also set our usage guidelines, create rules to make sure we're protecting our data, define where human oversight should be included, and create some standard operating procedures. Now, that's a really good start, and frankly, that's a fantastic start. And we could get going with that, but I don't want us to stop there. So as we're talking through the second part, one of the first things that you should consider is developing prompting best practices. Crap input gets you crap output. I've said that before about different things. That is true. Crap in, crap out. So how are we going to develop a prompt that's going to get good data or good output? We're going to have to develop a good prompt. What makes a good prompt? How can you learn to do that? Examples are really a good way of helping individuals learn how to prompt. So, think about what you need. Think about the format that you need. Think about what the objective is. If your objective is to do something, let's do something simple. Say you're writing something and you want to do it for a general audience, then make sure you explain that we need this at an 8th grade reading level. If you're doing something for a graduate course, then maybe it doesn't need to be at an 8th grade reading level. If you're doing something for an audience that is more inclined to like the Cardinals, then don't do something about the Cubs. Anyway, there's a lot of elements, and those are some very basic, maybe even some bad examples. If you know what you want the output to be, then make sure you put what the output is going to be. A lot of those things to think about. I think that developing those prompting best practices is something that is really hard for folks. I mean, I'm always getting better at my prompting, always, and we will continue to do that. There's actually jobs now available for prompt engineers because this is such a challenge. So the more that we can share best practices, more we can share examples, the better off our folks are going to be. And then let's provide some training. Just simply put, let's provide some training. I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. AI is the worst today that it will ever be in the future. The technology, the algorithms, the models is improving every single day. So what we have in AI today is worse than what it's going to be tomorrow because it's getting better. And it is moving so fast that some of our employees are being left behind. It's moving so fast that annual training that we're getting is not enough. We need to know what's the best practices that we just talked about. We need to know what are the security things that I need to be remembering. We need to know what is allowed, what is not allowed, what are the limitations, what are the new features, what are the new opportunities, what are the new creative ways that we can use AI. Maybe it's quarterly instead of annual. Quarterly is probably good. I mean, you could do it every week, every month. but you don't want to do it so much that you're wearing your people out. So perhaps a quarterly training would be a good, just a refresher about what's going on, what's the latest, where can we get involved, and is there new data considerations we need to have. And frankly, all of that falls underneath governance. Ultimately, we need to have governance. That policy that we talked about first, maybe if I was doing the steps, I would put governance first, but that policy ultimately should be written through those individuals that are responsible for the oversight of AI. And in very simple terms, governance creates a group that is responsible for AI within your organization. Maybe it's your CEO, maybe it's your executive director, your operations manager, maybe it's the IT manager, maybe it's a technology person, risk management person, accounting person, HR person. There's a lot of different people in your organization that it could be. It doesn't have to be every department, every group for it to be effective, but creating that governance to help provide that oversight is really important. I just said AI is changing rapidly. We need somebody to stay on top of what's changing. Well, it's hard for one person. There's a lot of responsibility that comes with oversight and governance of AI. So having a group with different expertise is really helpful. And I recommend doing that for your security of your organization in general. And it's also true for the AI governance as well. So whether we're reviewing policy, developing new procedures or best practices, it's reviewing the risk that are associated. It may be that a development has happened with a particular model that you're using, and you want to make sure that what we're doing is not putting our customers, our data, our company at risk. So that governance would help to provide that oversight. That's an important piece to have. You really want to have a team that is establishing that governance. And then if you're getting started with AI as an organization, you don't have to change everything today. You don't have to change it all. Think small, start small. What is that thing that is taking you more time than it should on a daily basis? Try to improve it. What is that one repetitive thing that you do over and over and over? Maybe there is a way that you can change it. You could do a pilot within one department. It can be gradual. Improving things gradually is okay to do. Start small, pilot it, test it. If it works well, then do something else. Get feedback, measure to make sure that it is truly improving things. You can start small and make this incremental change and ultimately get to the point of where you want to be. Part of what I just said is having a feedback loop. We always want to make sure that we review what we're doing and that we try to improve it. If you go back to the very first thing we talked about was setting a policy. If we set a policy and we realize our policy is too restrictive or not restrictive enough, then we can review it and we can improve it. We should always do what I would call an assessment to see, are we following it? Are we following the policy? Are we following the procedures? Are we following the best practices? How can our employees do a better job of being efficient? If they're not following the policy, is it because is it on the employee side? Often it's on the policy side that we need to do something different. Do we need to address particular risk into our policy? What's changed? Continuous improvement is a approach that many organizations make in many different areas. I'm just suggesting that AI is one of those areas that you should consider that for your continuous improvement. All right. Those were 10 things that we should be thinking about to get started with AI in your organization. I hope they were helpful. I hope they were of use. I hope that you've implemented many of those, but if not, you can use those to help provide you some direction on how to get started. Finally, if you want to have a conversation with me, talk through what this means and this should look like for my organization, reach out. I'm happy to have that conversation. I've had that conversation with many organizations. I will continue to have that conversation with organizations. Just please reach out to me, let me know, and I will be happy to help. Again, thank you very much for joining in, and I'll see you next week back here on 10 at 10. Thank you. Bye.